So hello guys, welcome back. In this next chapter, we're going to cover about models. But before we cover about models, I'm going to show you the easiest ways where we can start the Django project in the same folder as our virtual environment. So I'll be also showing you the how we can create .git ignore where we can stop all where we can remove the file we don't want to publish on GitHub, and also I'll be showing you how we can create the requirement. So where it will contain the versions of the package you have used in our Django project. So first of all, I'm going to start on the new folder to create the new folder. So, but also I will publish this one so that you can cron this project, or you can go there and install my project. Okay, so and you can cron it. After cloning it, you can install the package. It will be the easiest way. I will create the README, so where you will start cloning and you can follow the steps which will be in that readme. So let's continue. I'm going to create the new folder here. So you can go ahead and open your terminal. So you can open your terminal. So let me increase the size. Yeah, let me increase the size. I think this one is very visible. Yeah, it's okay. So now I can go to maybe my documents. Is where I want to put my project. So I can create the folder. I can do mkdir. So let me call it YouTube tit or dot, yeah, like that. So I can go there, cd YouTube dot. Okay, so it's okay there. So now we can create our virtual environment there. So it's the same command as we used to write python minus m vnv. You can call it vnv, it's okay. Python minus m vnv. Okay, so let's wait. Yeah, so now you can check if your virtual environment is there. So you can do ls. So you find there we have a folder called vnv. So we can also activate our virtual environment to be able to install the Django. So you can type python. You can, no, it is not python. You can type vnv slash script slash activate dot pc1 and press enter. Okay, now you see there on the on our terminal we have vnv at the start, which showing us the virtual environment is activated. So now we can go ahead and install our Django. So do pip install Django. Okay, so it will download the Django there. So let's wait. So after having your Python or your Django there, so you need to check if you have installed well Django. So you type Django minus admin, and you can put their version. Okay, version. And you can press enter. So you'll be able to see the version we have of Django there. So we see there we have 6.0.6. Okay, so now after creating the Django, or after installing our Django package, now we are going to start our project. So we'll be typing Django minus admin start project. So maybe let me call it config, and you put this dot. So this dot is going to tell Django that we need to create the Django project inside this folder, this YouTube tutorial. Okay, so you can go ahead and press enter. So now it will create it will start our project. It will create the folder for our project. So let me open that folder. I can go ahead and click on open so I can find where I have saved my folder. Okay, let me go into documents. Yeah, yes, it is there. Okay, so now it is opening. So now you see there we have config and also we have VNV there, but it is in the same folder, YouTube tutorial. So now we can open again our terminal, but we'll be seeing there that our access. So now you see that our environment is working. When we start our project, when we open our project, or virtual environment is also activated. So we can also use deactivate to deactivate it or to shut it down. So here we can start our project. You can type Python, Python manage, Python manage.py, and also run server, run server. So now our project is running. So when you open it, you see that we have installed successful our Django. So this is this is very easy and very great. So let me end the server and I can clear the terminal. Okay, so here we are going to start our application. So you can do Python manage.py startup, and I can call it maybe, let me call it YouTube. Okay, it's okay. Let me call it YouTube. It depends on the name you want. Okay, let me call it YouTube. I can press enter. Yeah, he's there. So now you see we have the next folder, which is called YouTube. It is our application where we have view, test, and models. So now I think you really understand well how we are going to create the Django project in the same folder as our virtual environment. So because it will be easier to start the virtual environment and also to deactivate the virtual environment. So now we can go ahead and create our git ignore. So because there is a file we don't want to publish on GitHub, we can go ahead and click on new file and you can call it git ignore ignore, yes. So and this file will contain the folders and also the files we don't want to publish on the GitHub. So like our virtual environment, we don't want to publish it on GitHub because when someone is cloning the project, it can run the requirement.txt so that he can install all the requirement needed, can create the virtual environment for himself. So the first thing, we don't want to go on GitHub. Let me comment it. This Python, the Python stuff. We can call it. We can do this one, Python cache. We don't want that, and we don't want that PYC. Okay. So and also we don't want the virtual environment. So I can say virtual environment here, virtual environment, and also we'll be putting there /vnv. This means this folder called vnv will not be published on the GitHub. So and also what we can remove, all we don't want to publish on the GitHub on the Django project is our database. So let me do Django. Okay, Django stuff. Yeah, it's okay. So the first thing we don't want to go there is our DB. So this file, we don't want it to go on the GitHub. So, and also we can do the next folder you can do is the media. Sometimes you do the medias which contain the files, maybe the videos, and also other materials you have used and you don't want it, or you don't want them to go on the GitHub. Okay, so and also here we can do static files. We don't want them to go on GitHub. And also we can re VS Code settings. So those VS Code, because we are using VS Code, sometimes VS Code create a folder called .vs Code, so it can put there the settings for VS Code, but we don't want to publish it on GitHub to make our project very clear. Okay, and also another thing, because we'll be using it a lot, is environment variables. So it's called .env. Okay, so this one we can't allow it to go on our GitHub. Okay, so now we have created the git ignore, so we can freeze, or we can create the readme, so that when we create the readme, all the requirements, we can create the requirement and also the readme, so someone, if we cron this repository, will be able to follow the steps. Okay, so now we can do, so here we can do pip. So let me learn pip freeze. Okay, freeze, and I can put requirement. So because I want to call it requirement, let me say requirement.txt. Okay, so now you see here we have the requirement.txt. So it will contain all the versions of the package we are using in this project, as I told you. So it's okay. So now we have all the stuff I have prepared for this tutorial, or for this chapter. So let's continue on our models. Okay, so I think you all understand. So if you don't understand, so please make sure to comment, so that all you can text me. I will be sharing you the group you can join, so that you can ask any question you have on this Django project. Okay, so now uh let's continue on the models. So model is a Python class that represents a database table. So that means models we're going to create, or the model we're going to create, will be using classes in Python, so that it can represent database tables or our database tables. Like if you are making the school management system, we need a lot of tables, like teachers, students, courses, enrollment, and also maybe quizzes. So because we need a lot of tables there, we'll be using class to create all of those models. So let me show you like the example of, let me show you like the example of the Python model. We can have like student. So let me do that readme file. I can do plus, can type readme dot md. Okay, I can do readme dot md. So here it's like when you're going to create a school management system. Let's take example of school system. Let me call it school management system. Okay, so school management system, we need a lot of tables like teachers, and also we need another table like students, So, but in Python, it will be using classes. We'll be using classes to create these teachers, because even if we have the table called teachers, we need to have something. We need to have the like attribute there. So attributes, so you can have like teacher's name, maybe teachers, maybe T name. Let me do T name. It depends on what you want. Maybe T name. So okay, I can do like, we can have like T name. So we can have like, so but before T name we can have like ID, TID, so which is going to be the unique identifier of a teacher. So you can have also there a teacher email. Okay, it depends on the things we want to correct for the teacher. So that's why when we create the model, we'll be creating the model of teacher, but we'll be putting the attribute of that teacher in the class. We'll be using the class. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our models or creating models. So, but what you need to understand here is like, as we're moving on, the MVT architecture, it changed, because last time I told you like MVT is model and view and also the template. So first of all, we need to look about the models, so the template will be written. So now we can say like our model will be like this. So I can say like our MVT architecture will be like this. So we'll be starting where? We'll be starting from the user. User will be making the command, or will be the user will be sending the request. So and the request will be in the URLs, because the user need to send the request based on the URL path he has used. And also after URLs will be looking in the view, so that do we have the function that corrects the requirement, the request, and also it can provide the response. So but after the view, because we need to integrate the database there, so our models will be there. Model will be the next, model. So and also after model, we can have our database. Our database. So after database, we can have our template. Templates. So and the templates will be directing, or will be giving the response to the user. Okay, user will be again the Rust. So the user need to make the request, but at the last you need to get the response. So this is our MVT architecture now we have, but we'll be trying to increase as we're moving on. So sometimes we'll be having the next thing to integrate, but this one is the current MVT architecture. I can put here like this. Let me do MVT architecture. Okay. So this is what we have. So let me continue on the models. So to create the model, you can open your project and you can go on models.py. So there we'll be creating the model. So let me create the model of maybe products. So or we can continue with this example of teachers. So let me create the teacher. So we can go ahead and say class teacher and bracket, and you can do models dot model. Okay, but first of all, we need to import. Oh, why do I have this one? Let me cross this. So first of all, we need to import the Django DB. We need to import the models from Django DB. So there, after creating this model, the teacher model, you can have the attribute inside the class you wanted to use. So maybe you wanted to have there a name. So let me say name is Koto. So we have what we call, maybe you know that when you're creating the database table, it needs to have the data types. So it needs to have the data types. Maybe is this a string? Is this a numbers? Is this uh, a debt. It depends. So you need to define the database, all the data type of that attribute. So here we have name because the name is it contains the characters or what we call strings. So we can say here we be saying model dot character set. So all dot class feed dot class feed. So and you can put there the maximum. You know that like in the MongoDB or other database like MariaDB, when you created the attribute, you just when you said maybe name is equal to valcal, so you need to put their bracket and specify the size of that character. So here you'll be saying maybe max length will be equal to, let's say, 100. So because the name, it can have like, it means like here the characters can't reach like on 100. So when you have a name like it has 101 characters, so sometimes it will produce the errors. Okay, so but 100 there is no name which reach on 100 characters. Okay, so now we can go ahead and create the teachers. We can create the email. So this email will be contain models dot. So as I told you, we have different character set. So on the email, we just use email field. Okay. So we can use email field and you can put their bracket. It's okay. So and also on the Borean, maybe let's say is active. So is active. So is the teacher active on our system? So you can say model dot Borean field. Okay. Boolean field. You see here we have also binary field. You have big integer field. You have integer field. So here you can choose Boolean field and you can put there a bracket. So, but inside you can specify the character or something you need to put or to structure. So let's say maybe default will be equal to is active false. So I can say by default is active will be false. So because sometimes the user is offline. When is offline, so the default will be offline. But here because it's active, so let's say true because it's active, is not offline. So let's say true. By default will be true. But when you are making a real system, everything default like the boolean need to be false. Okay, sometimes you don't need to always identify the is active is true because sometimes he is offline. So if he is offline and your default is true, so it will be offline. It will be online while he is offline. Okay, so now we are done with creating our class. This is our class teacher which will contain that attribute. So after creating the table, you need to migrate or to make migration. So now because we have started these models, this project, we need to add our application inside the settings in configuration. So you can open configuration and you can go in settings. So and you can go in installed app and you can put comma. In this installed app list, you can add YouTube because it is the name of our project. YouTube. You can add YouTube. So after adding YouTube, now we are going to make migration. So we can run python manage.py make migrations, and here you can put the name of the name of the application. So you'll be putting there what YouTube, YouTube, and you can press Enter. So now we see, so it will create the initial migration. It will create this folder or this file called 001 underscore initial. So you can go ahead and open that file. So you can go in your YouTube, so and you can go in migrations, and you will find that file there, 0.001 underscore initial dot py. So now here, as you see in that model or in that file created, we have there also the fields. We have the ID, which will be, as I told you, so this is a binary auto. This is the feeds we have. I will be also trying to explain you all of the feed we have. So we have this feed called big auto. So now it is auto generate created. So that means we don't have, or we don't need to always put the ID of the teacher. So the system will auto generate it. So we have also the primary key, because it will be the unique identifier, and also it will help us to make the foreign key for the the tables that this teacher will reference. Okay, we reference to. And also we have series false, and also we have this verbose name. So this one will be understanding them. So, and here we have the character feed. You see here we have the maximum of 100, and also here we have our email feed. The maximum is 254, and also the default of is active is true. So this, if you don't find on your file that was generated, you don't have this field, you can go ahead and them add them these fields. Okay, so you don't need to care about others, but you need to see on the migrations the name you have there. Okay, yeah. So now, after creating that migrations, so you are going to run or to make migration, or you're going to make migrate. So now you created that file, but you need to make migration. So now you will be writing Python manage .py migrate. Okay, so migrate. So now all the things will be okay. So if you found all the errors in this migrate, so make sure that you can go back ahead and try to see where you made a mistake. So because if you meet the error on this migration, it will be a lot of errors there. It will be maybe error contained in the feed, or in the model, or in the view. So try to debug that file. So now you have created that, you have migrate. So now you can see if you have created the table well. So you can type Python, let me do it, manage.py. So you need to know all of this command .py. So you can do .py SQL migrate. So in there you can change. So you can put the name of our application. I'll be calling it YouTube. Okay. So now you see we have the SQL command there. To output our SQL command to create the model called teacher. So now you see it's like creating the table called teacher. So create table YouTube teacher ID. So it is integer, not null, primary key, and also auto increment. It is auto increment, not null. So that means we don't have to leave the ID null. So, and also the name must be not null, and also the email, and also is active. So, and here we have commit. So that means it have created the table inside our db.sql, right? So if you want also to install this SQLite, I will create the video so that you can install your SQLite on your system. Okay, so thank you for this. So I will continue with delete, update, and also